Hey Rocky, remember when we did the Chuck Norris tribute and I begged you to watch The Forrest Warrior from 1996?
You did. Now, let me give you the reasons why it's one of his best movies ever.
Oh, we're going to get into that.
All right, so maybe not one of his best movies ever, but it's definitely an interesting movie. So on paper, I think when it comes down to them reading scripts and so forth, I think when he read it or all the characters read it, it actually sounds good.
It does, and if you look at the plot, it's kind of like what he was going for at that time. He's trying to be kid friendly and trying to get into that network. He just finished doing Top Dog, which was also made for kids.
Well, at the same time too, if you really break down the movie, it's kind of a unique movie. Remember when we were talking about original style movies? So that's what this movie is. It's an original style. It starts off with first off, actually this movie actually casts some pretty good actors. You know, Chuck Norris, obviously.
Yes.
He plays Jebediah McKenna. It has Terry Kaiser in it.
Yeah, he plays Travis Thorne.
Travis Thorne, and you know where he's from, right? He was in Weekend at Bernie's.
Yeah. Great movie.
Great movie. He can play a dead guy.
He play a dead guy.
You know, Max Gale. He was from Barney Miller. Mm-hmm. Right? And,
Yeah, he played, I think, the sheriff, right? Sheriff Ramsey.
And Loretta Swit is in it from MASH. Mm-hmm. And Roscoe Lee Brown.
Oh, he plays Clovis.
Clovis Madison.
Clovis Madison. I remember him. He was in a lot of stuff. He was
he was in a lot of John Wayne movies.
John Wayne, yeah.
He was in the Cowboys. Yeah. So on paper, you know, I think when they first introduced this movie to Chuck, Mr. Norris, they said, please read this. And it actually does sound good, right? So it basically starts off with a campfire story that Clovis, Roscoe Lee Brown's character, is reading to a group of children. And it's about those fairy tales, right? It's about
the frontiers, man.
Yeah, it's those childhood stories that you tell at a campfire, right? Where a frontiersman, Jebediah McKenna, he was killed a century ago in the Tanglewood Forest by armed men after refusing to sell his land to a lumber company. You know, and then he was killed, so now he can magically be brought back to life and given the power to transform into a bear, a wolf, or an eagle, right?
The bear, yeah.
You know,
I remember the bear.
And so the kids buy into this, right? So it actually starts off kind of cool. It's original. You know, how many movies start off like that with a campfire tale?
Yeah, what was inspired by a show in Nickelodeon called Are You Afraid of the Dark? And it would do that with the kids where they would do a campfire story. Are You Afraid of the Dark was like a spooky show on Nickelodeon. Okay. Yeah. So it was doing that what was at the time going on television.
Yeah, I can see that. I can also say Nickelodeon for Gen X is a lot different than Millennial.
Oh yeah. You guys had Eureka's Castle and what's his name, Mr. Wizard, the scientist dude.
We had Kids Incorporated. We had
Double Dare.
Yes. Oh, that was a great
Physical
game.
challenge.
Yeah, I mean, so you know, our version of Nickelodeon for Gen X is definitely a lot different than what Nickelodeon is now.
I caught the reruns. You know, David the Gnome, Eureka's Castle. I caught those reruns in the morning.
So. Nonetheless, Nickelodeon was good for everybody back then.
Yeah, and this when it starts off, it reminds me of Are You Afraid of the Dark with the campfire and this tale of McKenna.
So in theory, that's where the movie actually does really well.
Right.
Now, where I think it falters is just bad direction. I don't. Was this his brother?
Yeah, I believe
it was his brother, Aaron Norris.
I think Aaron is he directed Sidekicks.
Yeah, so I guess it's a family thing, right? At this point, where it's like, oh, my brother's directing it, I got to try to make this as good as possible. But it just, it just didn't work because the kids were over dramatic, spoiled kids who. I don't know, if you're going to go hiking in the wilderness, you got to at least have a backpack. I'm just saying. You watched the movie.
Oh, you really watched this, Rocky.
I did. I critiqued this hardcore. They're off in the wilderness and they didn't have water. They didn't have a backpack. They're in shorts and a t-shirt. Like, really?
Like they just came out of a production trailer?
Yeah, pretty much. It's like, and honestly, who sends their teenage kids on a hike, right? Where's the parents and all this? But anyways, that's just me critiquing it. But it just, the kids were over dramatically over the top. The dad of one of the girls in the kids group there was a I thought they were dead scene kind of a thing,
right?
Because in there are bad guys that do try to take over the logging forest again, and they found a treehouse of all places, and it was like the most beautiful,
magical,
perfect treehouse that didn't decay over the years or whatnot. It was perfect.
It's magic.
I think it even had electricity at one point. But
what?
I don't know. I don't think so. But it
had a toilet in the corner.
It had a toilet in the corner. Of course it did.
Right.
And it's it just some things didn't make sense. You could definitely tell it was not
well thought out.
Yeah, it was not for actual reality existence.
Right.
But I think, like I said, I think in general, it on paper, it meant to be a good movie. It could have had more potential. It has more potential if it was directed properly. Sorry, Mr. Norris.
It's nothing against Aaron Norris, but it's just, how can I say, like, there's a lot of throwaway shots, a lot of cheap shots. This movie could have been a little done. Like, I guarantee you, if Scorsese or Spielberg did it, it would look a little different and feel different.
No,
you got to feel your shots.
You don't have to go that high profile. I mean, you don't need to get those. You don't need James Cameron directing this.
No,
one.
but I like the look of it because they filmed this in Oregon for 56 days. And it's just beautiful. Like, the scenery is gorgeous.
It's just gorgeous. I think they
were
in the same spot that they filmed Deliverance. I'm not sure.
My question for you is, what is your opinion on the look and the style and the fashion of Chuck Norris in this movie?
Well, I don't know what Indian tribe he was supposed to portray. I think it was Eskimo, but I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. He looks Eskimo, and I'm like, "You're in Oregon. What are you doing?"
So,
and he has his hair all long.
Well, I think it was more of like I don't actually think he was Native American. He looks more of a mountain man style.
It's
right?
like
a fur trapper / mountain man style, and
he's an Eskimo from Canada.
Yeah, and so I think that's kind of the blend of it. So this is 96. So he died in 1896, a century ago.
Wow.
So,
wow.
But I mean, in theory, it actually is a great idea. It's a fairy tale. There's fairy tales everywhere, right? Like growing up in New Mexico, La Llorona. We had La
Llorona. Yeah.
So there's fairy tales everywhere.
Yeah, in Puerto Rico, we have El Cuco.
El Cuco. He's El Cuco. I don't know what that means.
El Cuco. He's like the boogeyman.
Like the boogeyman. There you go.
The boogeyman.
So in theory, it makes a great idea for a movie.
Right.
It could have been probably directed a little bit better, have a little bit more realism, more common sense to some of the things that were, there.
Some things are a little outrageous, like when they put the bomb in the treehouse. Like, what is this? There could have been kids in there. Like, what are you doing?
And well, there was. That was the girl. As you remember, Chuck. Well, I don't know if you saw. Remember?
I did. Yeah.
But Chuck Norris took her to that lake, and then he healed her, and then she comes back, and she's all like, "What happened?" And then she falls back asleep. Right. He's all, "Don't worry, my child. Everything's fine.
Don't worry, I'm gonna take care of you."
So but all the meanwhile, the kids are going crazy ballistic, like you just stole their candy bars. And the dad, I'm sorry, I'm not an actor, but I could cry a lot better than that.
I think they used Visine for that scene.
It wasn't even just the tears; it was just his over-the-top dramatic. I've lost my. Oh my! You got to watch that part just to get a laugh out of it. Because I'm sorry, that was just not believable.
It's a little overmuch. It's just like it's kind of. It reminds me of like if you got in trouble at the principal's office, you're trying to cry because you don't want your parents to find out.
So you do this most ridiculous cry ever. It was just crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, and then the music in that, the there was that scene where they made the loggers dance with the ghetto music. I was like, really? That was just no place for it. Where'd you get electricity? Oh, they had batteries, but
What about the special effects with the sparkling orbs?
It was definitely low end CGI. They're like, we don't have a budget for special effects in this, so go as slow as you can, and we'll like make believe this. We'll just like, I don't know. It was just very low end CGI, like they did it on like your laptop or something.
And we were talking about the acting. How do you feel about Chuck Norris's acting in this? His acting, not the martial arts, just him speaking his lines, looking.
It was typical Chuck Norris.
Okay,
it was
okay.
It was the dead serious Chuck Norris appeal. And
that stare.
And he didn't underact it and he didn't overact it. He gave it, I guess, what it needed.
At the time, yeah.
Yeah, and. And actually, when we read the reviews, people were like, "It's the fight scenes are really slow and
slow motion."
I don't think it was slow motion. I just don't think it was. It was like a beginner's course for karate. Throw your punch at me, and they go kind of like it's not really like slow mo, but it was just definitely slower.
I feel that if the editing was done a little better, maybe it could have made the karate look a little good.
Yeah,
but it's just
and there wasn't that many fight scenes in it.
No, and some of this. What was your opinion on when he stops the chainsaw with his bare hand?
Well, it's there's Chuck Norris for you, buddy. It wouldn't be a Chuck Norris film without something crazy like that happening.
Oh man, that was just pure.
I mean that's like right there where, like, let's say here's a make-believe twist on this, right? So he's a ghost, right? And he's like, oh, they put a bomb in the tree. So he goes, he takes the bomb, and he does this like 1970s cartoon thing where he shoves the bomb down his throat and it explodes in his stomach.
I know.
And he's all like, I saved the treehouse from the bomb. That's good.
It kind of reminds me of Jim Carrey in The Mask when he swallows the bomb.
That's the one.
And it blows up in his stomach. And he's like, lets out the smoke, and then he burps.
Smoke it.
No. He's like,
that's
a spicy meatball.
That's right. That's what he says. But you know what I mean? It's that kind of humor to it.
And that came out in '94, and this came out 2 years after.
Yeah, let's get a copycat it. I mean,
how do you feel? How do you feel about the music? Do you think it's like orchestra, like silly, good?
There were a few songs, like maybe the intro was the intro. Actually, the intro music and the outro music were actually pretty decent.
They're decent.
Orchestrated. Once again, it was probably low budget. Like, what did they spend on this movie? Like $1 million?
I believe it was $1 million budget.
So you're not going to get a good composer. No. You're going to get somebody that's like, I got this tune. We'll kind of like stretch it out. It sounds good. It'd be good enough for this movie. So,
Yeah, I mean, for a 93-minute film is not bad. I really like the movie poster and everything. It looks cool. It's interesting, but it's just like, man, what was going on? And this was direct to video, so it didn't even go in the theaters.
Yeah, no, that's why I didn't even hear about it. You know?
Yeah, it was straight up Blockbuster rental.
It basically, for all you guys that don't know, direct to video is the exact same as direct to streaming. So
or straight to DVD.
Yeah, no, straight to streaming. Like there's all these movies that get made, and they just go straight to the streaming sites. They don't even get distributed anywhere else. So.
Now, I wanted to read you this this actual critic named Doug Walker, aka the Nostalgia Critic. He called this picture a must-see for anybody who refuses to believe there are worse roles an actor can get stuck than that of a corpse, referring to Terry Kaiser's deceased title character in Weekend at Bernie's.
It's pretty hard to remain a dead person throughout the entire movie. Especially when they're like moving, they're not. And if you watch Weekend at Bernie's, they weren't gentle with his body. They were throwing him in the back of a boat.
Which one was the one where they do voodoo on the body? Where if
I think
there's
that was
music,
the second one.
Yeah, if there's music playing, he starts moving and dancing.
So it's pretty tough playing a dead guy. I'm not gonna. I mean. I mean, without laughing, and especially if you're not ticklish, if you're ticklish, I don't know. It just
that movie is hilarious.
But I will agree. This wasn't one of the. I think it just was the fact that Chuck was being nice to his brother.
Right, he was giving him a break.
What, I will be in this movie, or vice versa. I don't know. I don't know how that played out behind closed doors, but like I said in the beginning, it sounds great. On paper, it sounds great. It could be a great fairy tale thing. It's a unique style movie. There's not many like this.
No.
And let's go with it and see what happens. And then then probably the critics reviews, not the reviews, but when they did their screenings, they said, yeah, this ain't going to theaters.
Yeah, we're not going to put this in the movie theater at all.
We're just going to go straight to DVD.
How do you feel about the kids acting? I think the kids acting is just mediocre at best.
Over dramatic. It's like, whoa, I got my first job.
Yeah, there is no Dakota Fanning in this at all. Like, she did a great job in Man on Fire. I do not see that in this movie at all.
They were just young. I don't think they had great, acting coaches helping them out.
No, I think the kids in Kindergarten Cop did a better job than this.
By far. Oh, by far. Those kids were well behaved.
Well acting too. So, Mr. Campbell, are you all right? That's when he got shot at the end.
Yeah, it just, I mean, there's a lot of kids. We can do a whole podcast on kids movies like Little Giants.
Little Giants is
Sandlot.
Sandlot's the best. Actually, the Sandlot actor, he was just in a fight in L.A. on Hollywood Boulevard.
Well, he's 40 now, so.
Oh, yeah. But he just got a chip on his shoulder. My question to you is, with this movie, what scene were you watching that you just started laughing? Like, like what the hell?
Well, so, all right. So, you're going to laugh. So, when I first watched this, okay, do you know the opening intro?
Yes.
All right. He's running through the forest.
Okay.
Just like he did in the Last of Mohicans.
Oh.
So I'm like,
what is this?
He's running through the forest, right? Chuck Norris is running through the forest.
Yeah, for the loggers.
And he gets there, and he's not even breathing heavily. He just stops and looks. And then he keeps running again. It's like he's not even out of breath.
Like Chuck Norris does not breathe.
I'm like, that's typical Chuck Norris. He's running a marathon through a forest at fast speed, and then he comes to stop, and he doesn't even catch his breath.
Doesn't even phase him. Full on sprint.
So that was the first part, right?
Okay, all right.
So, and then just from there on, I kept chuckling, throughout the thing. The over, I like Roscoe Lee Brown, but I don't know if he was just too old for this movie at the time. Because how old is he? He's like
Roscoe Lee Brown.
I know he passed away.
Yeah, he's up there.
But age. He was I know he was born in like the 20s or 30s, so he would have been like in his 70s at this time.
He probably pushing 80.
So born 1922. So so he would have been 74, 73 at the time of filming this movie.
Yeah, he was born 1922. He died in 97.
And he tried. He did his best in this movie, and I don't, and he did his part well. But there was the scene where the treehouse is blown up, and they can't find the girl, and the kids are all being over dramatic. Or something, or they find her dead. I think
he was 74. Dead. I'm sorry.
And so they ride their bike back to the little bait shop or little convenience store.
It was a convenience store. They sold everything in there.
Oh, it was like Lassie returning home, like Timmy's stuck in the well.
Pretty much.
It was just odd, And then but yeah, I mean the whole movie made me chuckle. It was good for a laugh.
Yeah,
like I said,
you can't take it serious. You can't. You try to watch it, and you're like,
if you're looking for a serious movie, this ain't it.
This is not it. And it's just like, I get there was a message there, even for the kids to like. Back then was all about recycling and protect Mother Earth and pollution. So this, I think,
well, this is about deforestation and
deforestation, like plant the trees. I remember as a kid in '97,
take care of the woods.
Take care of the woods. We were replanting trees in '97 as kids. Like we were doing this Earth Green project. So this was a product of its time back then.
Yeah,
but the message was there, but the execution was horrible.
Yeah. So it's like I said, if you guys want a good laugh of a movie. Now you're gonna have a hard time finding it. Now I just happen to have a way to watch it for free. I'm not gonna tell you guys how I ripped the internet off.
No, we can't do that. But there are ways of watching this film.
There are ways that you can find this film, and I don't think it's anywhere on. Give me IMDb. You can watch it on Amazon Prime. It's rent or buy.
Yeah.
So if you want to spend the $4, it's not.
I mean,
it's an investment you're gonna have to choose
if it's a decent movie, I buy it. Like for instance, I just bought the 10 Commandments with Charleston Heston.
There you go. Yeah.
Because I was just like, I always loved that film. It's a product of its time, and they just did like a 4K restoration on the movie. Yeah. So I bought it. It was like $9. It was on sale. Hey, buddy. Well, you hear the dog whimpering in the background. But this movie, it is a little nostalgia for me because I was a kid at the time. I was 9 going on 10 in 96, and my grandfather, picked us out and rented a Blockbuster in Perth Amboy, New Jersey, and my uncle Joseph, rented it for us. And it's sentimental for me, but I don't take it serious. I don't say this is the greatest Chuck Norris movie of all time. I actually have a better time with Sidekicks than I do with this movie. It's like the Brawny Man is having a mingle with I Dances with Wolves.
I do give him credit. There were the scenes where they actually do show him transforming
into the bear.
So that's where their whole budget went.
Yeah, where he's like laying down and stuff. Yeah.
Well, that's where he confronts Kaiser first time.
Yeah.
And he transforms into the bear, and so that I think that part was done well.
Okay,
but like the scenes where they're where he's actually fighting the loggers, and they did they did that typical humor where he's like, I'm gonna pick you up, throw you, you're gonna land on the log, and you're gonna like split the log and rack your nuts. And they go, oh, and then everyone gives the face,
yeah. They're all reacting to him going.
Or what was the one where that guy got dragged off and he flew off the
he got
cliff
flung,
into the river,
the quarry river,
that quarry,
the quarry,
So
you can see it's a dummy.
Yeah, it definitely had some cheesiness to it. But,
it's silly, but
it's definitely an interesting watch. So if you guys ever get a chance to come across this movie, add it to your cranium of movies to watch.
Would you suggest this movie to watch sober or intoxicated? Because I think if you watch it a little drunk, you might have a good time with it.
Well, I'm not going to promote intoxication to minors. So.
I'm talking about people our age, like Gen Z millennials. I'm sorry, Gen X and millennials, not Gen Zers.
It'll definitely take the edge off.
Yeah.
So if you're into that thing,
okay,
it's not going to hurt, and it may even help.
So, what's your overall score out of this? 1 to 10.
I'm going to stick with IMDb on this one. I'm going to give it a little bit better. I'm going to give it a 5.
I give it a 4. I give this a 4.
I'll give this a 5 for its originality.
Right.
I give it for the fact that the attempt was there. The original script was there. I will knock it for its execution. And the fact that it's got Chuck Norris in it. So
rest in peace, Chuck Norris. Rocky, thank you so much for
thanks. This one was a fun one. Yeah. So I hope everyone else had a good time listening to us talk about this movie. So
I'm glad you heard me, and we had a good time. Rest in peace to Chuck Norris. This was a decent movie. But that's it for me. What
Peace out. See you guys next time.